Hi, this is Chuck Marundi. I'm going to have a little fun with you today. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up in a place called Tok, Alaska. Now, Tok is a remote place about 90 miles from the Canadian border. There's nothing there, and if you're driving up the Alaska Highway, you have to drive through Tok, but don't blink or you'll miss it. There were only about 400 people there when I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. And Tok is a wonderful place. It sits alongside the Alaska mountain range, so some stunning mountains out there. Incredible rivers, a lot of phenomenal fishing and hunting, of course. My father was a hunting guide, and so I got to go out and spend some time with him in the mountains, hunting for Dall sheep and moose, caribou, and of course we fished for salmon and cod, and we always had to fill up our freezers. We were living in an area there where there was no electricity, and there were no radio stations and no telephones and no TV stations either. So it was a great way to grow up as a boy. I used to enjoy actually doing things like cutting wood, but that's probably because I didn't know any better. Dad would say on Saturday morning, "Charlie, let's go cut some wood." And I'd say, "Oh, goody." Well, life has changed a lot since then. Tok was a wonderful place to grow up. A little bit primitive, kind of out, 205 miles from Fairbanks, Alaska, so it was a long drive to civilization. And there wasn't much there, but it was a wonderful way to grow up. We had a wood stove, that was our only source of heat. And Tok is in the interior of Alaska, so this is actually one of the coldest places in Alaska in terms of temperature. Not chill factor, but temperature. We used to get always 60s and 70 below zero every winter. And that, very, very cold. We had a little 900 square foot cabin, and there were just two bedrooms. Mom and Dad had a bedroom, and I had a bedroom with my brothers and sisters, and the rest of the house was just open, kitchen and living room. We, of course, had to burn wood for heat there in the living room in the wood stove. We had a 55-gallon barrel wood stove that my father had made out of a 55-gallon barrel, and burned 10 cord of wood. We had a Coleman lantern hanging from a bent-over nail in the middle of the ceiling in the living room there. Ran on kerosene. And we didn't have any running water or indoor plumbing. We did have an outhouse, but that was a cold hike to the outhouse in the middle of winter at night. It was a pretty exciting childhood, really, because we were always busy. It's amazing how much time you have to spend just surviving when you live off the land. Now I live in Sequim, Washington. We have all of the modern conveniences of society, and of course we have the internet and cell phones. Things have changed a lot in the past few decades, haven't they? By the way, I did write a book about that experience growing up in Alaska. You'll find it on Amazon if you want to read it. It's a paperback, and it's called Teachings of the Wilderness. I hope you enjoyed this little story. And you can learn more about real estate in the Sequim area at sequimrealestateblog.com.